Hello, my CFA friends. How are you, my friends? So, in this module, we are going to introduce a very, very fundamental building block in programming, which is conditional flow, which is our if statement. So, let's get started. First, I'm going to define a variable called score, and that's going to be our score on the CFA exam, let's say. So let's say we scored 77%. And I'm also going to define a second variable, which is the MPS, or the minimum passing score. And let's say that is 70%. Now, I want to print a statement saying that I passed the exam if obviously my score was above 70%. So how am I going to do this? Obviously, if I just use the print statement, the print function, that will print a statement regardless of my score. But I only want to print a statement if my score is above 70. So what I'll do is I'll say if, and if is a very important keyword in Python. So if my score is greater than the minimum passing score, and now here, very important from a syntax point of view, you need to finish the line with a colon, and then press enter, and you can see here that we will automatically indent. And in Python, indentation, which of course can be achieved via pressing tab, is very important. Indentation is very important because anything that gets indented then belongs to this if statement, and we shall see it in for loops and while loops and also in functions. So very, very important to keep an eye on this indentation. And so what we're going to say simply, if our score is greater than the minimum passing score, then print you passed. Okay. And now let's go ahead and run this. It should print you passed because 77 is greater than 70. And indeed, we passed. And of course, if I change this to, let's say, 68, and I run it, I shouldn't be able to see anything because once my program gets to the if statement, because it evaluates as false, it would then skip the code that's indented under the if statement. However, of course, if we didn't pass, we may want to print something to our user as well. So we could then use an else statement. And else is another important keyword. We're going to finish the line again with a colon. Very, very important. And the idea behind else is that code is going to run if the code after the if keyword didn't run. So here we will simply print something like try again. Okay, and if we run this, because 68 is less than 70, we should see try again. And so we do. Now, at the moment, our logic accounts for only two possibilities, and they're quite binary. You passed or you failed. What if we wanted to give a little bit of additional feedback to our user? Let's say we were quite close to 70, but we didn't quite make it. So we might want to say that the candidate is a marginal fail. So how are we going to accommodate that then? Well, after the if statement, we can have another condition. Now, this condition is not going to be an else statement. It's going to be an else if statement. So it's going to be conditional again. But in Python, we don't use the words else and if separately. We combine them into the special keyword elif. And of course, elif is an if statement. So we can't just write a colon at this point and indent. We actually have to give a condition here. So let's say the condition is that if our score is greater, let's say, than 65 colon, we want to print that you almost passed. I mean, whatever that means. You either passed or failed, but you see my point. So if I run this code, because 68 is actually greater than 65, we should see the statement you almost passed. Next, I also want to introduce the concept of nested if statements. A nested if statement is a statement, an if statement that has been indented within a major if statement. So, for example, here we could have something else that we are looking at. For example, we could say PSM complete, and that will stand for is your practical skill module complete or not yet? And this is going to be a Boolean variable. So if we set that to true, it would mean that you completed your practical skill module. If you set it to false, it means you didn't by exam day. Now, the rules are as follows. If you completed your practical skill module, your results will be released. But if you didn't, then your results won't be released. So we want to add this logic to our statement. And so what we could do here is we could say if PSM complete, and that's enough because as long as that condition is a Boolean condition that evaluates to either true or false, we don't need to say if PSM complete is equal to true or equal to false. That is completely redundant. All we need to say if PSM is complete, as is written here, then what should happen? Well, this code here should run. So I'm going to highlight it and press tab. Now I'm indenting that code, so that means that code will only run if my PSM is complete. And obviously now I'm going to have an else statement, and that statement will be aligned with the principal, with the main if statement. So I'm going to have an else statement here, and I might print something like your results will not be released. And the idea here is that if PSM is not complete, then the else statement will run and your results will not be released. So let's give it a test at the moment. Let's go back to, let's say, 73 here, and I should see that I've passed. Yes, I have passed because I also completed my PSM, but if I set the PSM to false, in other words, I didn't complete it, I should see your results will not be released. And that's correct. And the last thing I want to show you is something called a ternary operation. And I like to think of a ternary operation as a one-liner. So we're going to put the entire if statement in one line. So the syntax of a ternary operation is first we're going to have the expression that will happen if the statement, if the condition is true. So we want to print something like you passed. Then I need to have the if statement. So remember, everything is on one line here. So I will print you passed if your score is greater than the minimum passing score. And then I have the else keyword. So now I need to tell the program what to do if I didn't pass. So I'm going to print something like try again. Okay, so if I were to run this again, so practical skill module is redundant now. I'm going to remove that. My score is 73, so I should see that I'm passing. Excellent. And if my score was 69, I should be seeing that I am failing and I should try again. So that's everything I wanted to cover in this module on conditional flow. Of course, in later modules, we will incorporate all this invaluable knowledge in more complex programs. But until then, have a great day.